Okay, we're live. Hello, everyone. This is Dr. Roger Paul, and tonight we're going to start a new paper, the paper 43, the constellations, and that starts on 485 of the original book. Let's say a little prayer and we'll get started. Father, thank you for bringing us together tonight that we might study your wonderful revelation. We pray that you open our hearts and minds that we might remember some of this and share it with others. We thank you for the opportunity to do this. Pray that you'll bless each and every one of our lives. We thank you. We give you the praise in your son, Michael Jesus of Nazareth. Amen. Okay, we lost Jane, didn't we? She popped out. Lost her connection. Okay, but let's get started without her. I'm sure she's going to pop back in. So, sweetie, you want to start at the first one there?
Okay. Paper 43, the constellations. Urantia is commonly referred to as 606 of Centenia. Centenia. I was thinking of a musician. In Nolorshadek of Nebadon, meaning the 606 inhabited worlds in the local system of Satania, situated in the constellation of Nolorshadek, one of the 100 constellations of the local universe of Nebadon. Constellations being the primary divisions of a local universe, their rulers link the local systems of inhabited worlds to the central administration of the local universe on Salvington, and by reflectivity to the super administration of the Ancients of Days on Uversa.
Okay, so this tells us where we are in the universe, which is pretty nice. All right, let's break this down so everybody understands where we are. Okay, first it tells us we're planet 606. I got a little picture of here of just that. We're this little planet way down here. You see my little cursor?
Yeah.
Yeah, all right. We're 606. Out of 1,000, at writing of this book, there were only 619 that's actually out there right now, 619 planets out of 1,000 in our local system. So our system is called Satania, and that system sits inside of our constellation, which is called Nolorshadek. Okay. And our constellation is one of 100 constellations that sits inside of Nebadon, which is the name of our local universe. Okay, and that's the way it works. Our local universe sits inside the 7th super universe, first in the minor sector, and then inside the major sector, and then inside the 7th of the 7 super universes. And I got a bunch of little pictures that shows how this breaks down. Okay, and by reflectivity, we're in touch even from Satania all the way up to the Ancients of Days. Okay, so through reflectivity, they all know at the Ancients of Days what's going on down here. All right, so I got several slides to show you. This is the Satania system, which sits inside of what? The constellation, Nolorshadek, right? So all these planets, these are all planets. Let me see if I can make this bigger. There we go, if I can read this. All right, you see those right there? That is who heads up our system. All right, our system sovereign is Lanaforge now. Who was our system sovereign? Lucifer. Remember? Yeah, that's right. So Lanaforge is the system sovereign now. Mansorosha is the first ascendant, and Sabid is the second assistant sovereign. All right, and then we have a custodian, a system recorder, bestowal director, and a high counselor, and that is Holdent, Vilton, Fortin, and Hannavard. All right, so that's who runs our local system now since the Lucifer Rebellion. All right, they took over for the Lucifer Rebellion. All right. One constellation, which encompasses 100 systems, is approximately 100,000 worlds. Okay, so that means that out of 1,000 worlds of each system, when you get 100 of those, that becomes 100,000 worlds. Okay, for each one. All right, and there is Jerusalem, our system headquarters. That's where the mansion worlds are, right? And then it shows Urantia here, which is our constellation headquarters. Okay, in the constellation of Norleshadek. And Urantia, you see this little picture here? There we are. We're in the system. We're 606, planet 606, in the system of Satania, which our headquarters worlds are in Jerusalem. Jerusalem, I should say. All right. Then this shows a local universe picture, and it shows the constellation of Norleshadek, this little slice right here. And how many of those are there in the local universe? 100, right? That's right. Y'all are so smart. So it says one universe, 100 constellations approximately makes up 10 million worlds. Okay, so when Michael and our local universe mother spirit gets done, there will be 10 million worlds of inhabited planets just in our local universe. Okay, and our local universe is in the minor sector of INSA. All right. And one minor sector, which there's 10 of those, if I remember correctly, embraces 100 local universes. Okay. So there's 99 other local universes in our minor sector that Michael does not take care of. Okay. And that embraces approximately 1 million worlds. All right.
That's overwhelming.
It is. It's a lot of information.
It's huge, huge.
Yeah.
It's inconceivable.
It's almost inconceivable completely. Okay, Urantia. This is our system headquarters. All right, so Satania has a headquarters world called Jerusalem, and is in the system number 24 of the constellation of Norleshadek. Your constellation, Norleshadek, consists of 100 local systems and has a headquarters world called Urantia. So everything that's named after Eden comes from our constellation headquarters, not our system headquarters. Okay, so anything having to do with Eden is the constellation headquarters and not our local system headquarters of Jerusalem. Y'all got that? Because that's confusing when you're reading the book.
It is confusing. Does that mean that what comes from Urantia could, of course, exist in other?
That's exactly right, Jane. Just like, all right, where do y'all remember from the story of Adam and Eve? They sent a bush from Urantia, right? Which became the tree of life on earth, right? Yeah. The reason they sent that is to sustain the personnel that was assigned to the planet, the Caligasser 100. And it was supposed to be also for Adam and Eve. And what did this bush do? It's kind of interesting because if you ever saw Avatar, it kind of follows that same line of the tree, you know, the tree of life. Yeah. All right. So what this bush did is allow the beings on the planet to regenerate their bodies constantly so they never aged. Okay. That's what the purpose of the tree of life was for. So when the Caligasser 100, when 60 of them rebelled, guess what happened? They were no longer allowed to partake of the tree of life any longer. So what happened to them? They eventually died. They lived for a very long time because they had been eating leaves off the tree of life. But when they stopped them from doing it, then they eventually became human and died. All right. That's why that's important. Now, Urantia is where the tree of life came from. And that is our constellation headquarters, not our local system headquarters. And I've heard people talking about this, confuse it all the time. All right. So the tree of life came from Urantia. In every other local system, if they need the same thing, guess where it would come from?
Urantia.
Urantia. That's right. That's right. Okay. And then we can go on. Norlatia is number 70 in the universe of Nebadon. Now, what was Norlatia? That was our constellation, right? So it's constellation number 70 out of 100. You follow me?
Yes.
Okay. All right. The local universe of Nebadon, that's the name of our local universe that Michael creates, consists of 100 constellations and has a capital known as Salvington, right? That's the main capital of our local universe. The universe of Nebadon is number 84 in the minor sector of INSA. So Nebadon is the 84th local universe in the minor sector. Okay. All right. Let's keep going. And this is another little chart I stuck in here that kind of breaks this down. And you can see here, you can start on the left side where it's talking about super universes. Super universes, there's 70 of them, right? And Orvanton, our 7th super universe, is number 7 of 7. Okay. The minor sectors, there's 70. So there's 10 minor sectors in each one of these super universes, right? And there's, oh no, what am I saying here? Major sectors, there's 70 in each one of these 7 local universes, okay? Minor sectors, there are 700 or 7,000. Local universes is 700,000. You see that? So there's 700,000 local universes in all 7 super universes, right? Which is a little confusing. So that means there's 70 million constellations, quite a few constellations. And in those 70 million, there are 7 billion local systems. All right, and keep in mind, for each one of those systems, there's supposed to be 1,000 planets eventually, right? So inhabited planets gives us 7 trillion inhabited planets. Now, in one of those local super universes, that means there'll be a trillion worlds, 1 trillion, and all 7, there's 7 trillion. You see the comparison here? Minor sectors, there's 100 minor sectors, and that is 100 trillion worlds, right? Did I get
lower minds?
yeah. Minor sectors, there's a billion, that's 100 billion worlds. I'm sorry. A minor sectors, it's 100 universes, is trillion, 1 trillion worlds, right? And in one universe, which is 100 constellations, or one of the 7 super universes, or one universe and 100 constellations, that makes 10 million worlds. And all of these are created by Michael and the creative Mother Spirit, right? All of them. All right. And in one constellation, there's 100,000 worlds, and one system, there's 1,000 worlds. It just shows the breakdown. So now everybody confused?
Yeah.
And I also stuck this in because we had just talked about, not long ago, the power directors, the physical controllers and the power directors. It says on Urantia, that's the constellation headquarters. There are 10 associated mechanical controllers and 10 Frandalites who are in perfect and constant liaison with the nearby power centers. All right. And I thought that I just throw that in, but it says here, your constellation, the Norlation deck, consists of 100 local systems and had a headquarter world called Urantia. We just talked about that, right? Norlation deck is number 70 in the universe of Nebadon. All right, and last but not least, this shows the constellation of Norlation deck, and this is really small, but I want to read it anyway. Urantia is the headquarters of your constellation Norlation and has its 70 satellites of socializing culture and training on which ascenders sojourn upon the completion of their Jerusalem regime of personality, mobilization, unification, and realization. So when we get done with the 70 mansion worlds, we get the privilege of going to all 70 of these satellites. Okay, and we get just like we went through the mansion worlds, and these surround the Urantia at the constellation. And here's another view of that. This is the 771 architectural spheres, the centermost and the largest of which is Urantia. So that's 771 different planets that are architectural spheres. They aren't evolved planets. They create just as they are. Okay. Perfect planets. And it says here that Urantia itself, the head of the constellation, is approximately 100 times as large as your world. The 70 major spheres surrounding Urantia are about 10 times the size of Urantia, while the 10 satellites which revolve around each of these 70 worlds are about the size of Urantia. These 771 architectural spheres are quite comparable inside to those of other constellations. So most all the constellations have the same makeup of this, right? And this is an interesting slide too. It says, while you are rekeyed, remember me talking about this as you go from mansion world to mansion world, they rekey you and you get new things each time. While you are rekeyed each time you pass from one major cultural world to the other, you retain the same Urantia body. So you keep the same body, they just tweak you, right? And there are no periods of personality unconsciousness. So once you get, that's what this is about. Once you get from here, Earth, to Jerusalem, okay? And that's after you go through the 7 mansion worlds. Once you get to Jerusalem, you have your new Urantia body in the first mansion world, and you're rekeyed in each time. So after you leave here, you go unconsciously to what? The first mansion world, right?
Mm-hmm.
From there on out, when you go from world to world and you're rekeyed, you're not unconscious. You're conscious of the changes, okay? So you compare it to this. If you go to the dentist, let's say, all right, and you have to have a tooth yanked, right? A lot of dentists will put you out so you're unconscious, right? And they do oral surgery and they yank the tooth, and when you wake up, it's gone. No big deal, right? But if you have a problem with that surgery, what happens? They send you back to the dentist, and from there on, you're not unconscious anymore. They just numb you and fix it, right? The same principle. As you go from body to body, they just tweak you. Right? Makes sense? All right. Let's go on to the next one. Lech, would you take the next one?
Okay. The government of your constellation is situated in a cluster of 771 architectural spheres, the centermost and largest of which is Urantia, the seat of the administration of the constellation fathers, the most highest of Norlashadek. Urantia itself is approximately 100 times as large as your world. The 17 major spheres surrounding Urantia are about 10 times the size of Urantia, while the 10 satellites which revolve around each of these 70 worlds are about the size of Urantia. These 771 architectural spheres are quite comparable in size to those of other constellations.
Okay, so this is kind of a picture of it. Right in the center is Urantia, right? And surrounding that is the 771 spheres. But 70 of these, the bigger ones here, you see the bigger ones kind of in the middle of each one of these surrounding bodies? These are the 70 spheres of Urantia. But they are part of the 771 spheres of the constellation itself. Okay, so it's a lot of worlds and they surround Urantia. And Urantia, you have to get this idea too. Urantia, the center planet, is 100 times larger than our planet. Makes sense? These the smaller ones are 10 times the size of our planet. And these little planets surrounding each one of these are about the size of our planet. Okay, so it kind of gives you an idea where we are. Okay.
Question about the Urantia and the size of it regarding gravity.
Yeah.
If you live on a regular physical world 10 times the size of Jupiter, you would be crushed by the gravity. So how would that apply to Urantia? Is there a different sort of gravity system, or?
No, I tell you how they work this out, Lech, is number one, the space between this is humongous. Okay, so if it wasn't for that, all these planets would be sucked right into them. The other thing is they use dark gravity space bodies around these things in certain specifically located areas to keep the gravity balanced, because like you said, it would just crush everything that came into it. Make sense?
Yeah, makes sense.
So within Urantia itself, these are hollow planets, the architectural sphere. So within the planet itself, it probably has a certain amount of anti-gravity that's controlled by the mechanical controllers. So it keeps it balanced all the way around the planet, because these aren't like regular physical spheres like ours is, right? All the rest of the planets, like all the inhabitable worlds of Michael, are all evolved planets that don't have a hollow core, but most of them have molten lava and that sort, just like ours is. It's this collection of material. Our gravity is probably easier to control than these are, because these are such humongous spheres in itself, but they do it with anti-gravity and dark gravity space bodies. Is what they do. Some of the actual physical planets like ours, they actually control with dark space bodies too, keep it from collapsing. Okay, let's go down to the next one. Urantia, Pam, I think you're up next.
Okay, Urantia time reckoning and distance measurement are those of Salvington, and like the spheres of the universe capital, the constellation headquarters worlds are fully supplied with all orders of celestial intelligences. In general, these personalities are not very different from those described in connection with the universe administration.
Okay, so each one of first, let's address time. The time calendar, if you would, for Salvington is the same for the constellation of Urantia, but that's true for all 100 of the constellations in Nebadon 2. So all the other constellations and all the major spheres, or the capital spheres of those constellations, are all on Salvington time. So if Jesus said it took 3 days for him to get to Salvington, if he said that as Michael, he would be talking about Salvington time, right? If he's on Earth, he's talking about human time, right? Or Earth time. For instance, a good example of that is Earth time is for on Earth, 3 days is equal to about no, let's see, 3 days on the mansion worlds is equal to about 18 days of Urantia time. Okay, so as you get up, go higher, it gets smaller and smaller. All right. So, and there's a good study on that on our main page. I have a sheet here. I think it's called time study. Do y'all see that on my page there? I got
Yeah,
it high. If you click on that, it breaks down all these times.
mm,
What is what? Okay. So let you know that's there if you want to go look at it. Okay. Let's go on to the next one. Jane, would you take the next one, please?
Okay. The supervisor seraphim, the third order of local universe angels, are assigned to the service of the constellations. They make their headquarters on the capital spheres and minister extensively to the encircling Morontia training worlds. In Norlantia, the 70 major spheres, together with the 700 minor satellites, are inhabited by the Urantia, the permanent citizens of the constellation. All these architectural worlds are fully administered by the various groups of native life, for the greater part unrevealed, but including the efficient Speronga and the beautiful Spornasia. Being the midpoint in the Morontia training regime, as you might suspect, the Morontia life of the constellations is both typical and ideal.
So what are they telling us here? They're telling us all the beings that's in one constellation, in essence, are in all the constellations, okay? And they have a whole host of celestial intelligence and beings that are assigned for specific jobs and tasks in each one of these spheres. Now, for instance, let me give you, for instance, on the 771 spheres of the constellations, you're going to have training beings, everything from Melchizedek's to angels, seraphim, cherubim, and they all have these beings as permanent citizens. Let's go to the unification. We'll refresh our memory. It says here the unification are they administer the constellation Morontia worlds. That's the worlds we're talking about, right? They live with ascending mortals on Urantia to help us out, right? They're children of the Creator Son and Creator Mother Spirit, but they do not live or function past the constellation headquarters. So that means they're limited to just the 771 spheres of the constellation. So they don't ever go outside that. That's what makes them what? Permanent citizens, right, of the constellation. All right. They're known for their artistic skill and social adaptability because they're going to be living with us, right? There's large groups associated with the celestial artisans, the arts, and that sort of thing. You'll learn with them. They're non-reproducing beings, so they're not sex creatures at all. Okay, and they're permanent citizens, but they can possibly be the future citizens of Havona. They don't know yet, right? Okay, so that's just the unification. And of course, the Speronga and the Spornasia, we talked about them, one group of them being like the gardeners and stuff like that. They do all the jobs that nobody else wants to do, right? And they are recycled, believe it or not. They live for 50, 60, 70,000 years. And then when they wear their bodies out, they're recycled and put in brand new bodies again. So reincarnated, if you would. All right. All right. The constellation headquarters, number 1 here. Let's see who's, I think you're up there.
Okay.
The constellation headquarters. Urantia abounds in fascinating highlands, extensive elevations of physical matter crowned with Morontia life and overspread with spiritual glory. But there are no rugged mountain ranges such as appear on Urantia. There are tens of thousands of sparkling lakes and thousands upon thousands of interconnecting streams. but there are no great oceans nor torrential rivers. Only the highlands are devoid of these surface streams.
Okay, so when we get to Urantia, there won't be any rugged mountains anymore. Okay, there will be highlands, and all of them have streams and rivers and things like that, but there's no oceans. Also, we're going to find out here in a minute that there's not going to be any storms or rain and things like that. It's all, everything's recycled naturally. All right, so the interesting part about this is this. It's not only physical matter, but it has Urantia life, so probably Urantia matter. But it says it's overspread with spiritual glory. You can only imagine what that might be, right? It's overspread with spiritual glory. It's interesting. Oh yeah, it'll have, I mean, Urantia is where the tree of the garden comes from, right?
It is, but do they?
So it must have trees there, right? And shrubs. And remember, you know, we forget these little tidbits of information that Adam and Eve were trained as gardeners where?
Urantia.
That's right. You know, they were horticulturists, remember? All right. And that's where they got their training. Okay, let's go on to the next one. Lech, would you take the next one? The water of Urantia?
Yeah. The water of Urantia and similar architectural spheres is no different from the water of the evolutionary planets. The water systems of such spheres are both surface and subterranean, and the moisture is in constant circulation. Urantia can be circumnavigated via these various water routes, though the chief channel of transportation is the atmosphere. Spirit beings would naturally travel above the surface of the sphere, while the Urantia and material beings make use of material and semi-material means to negotiate atmospheric passage.
Welcome to the Jetsons, right? Because you think of it this way. all the spiritual beings fly through the air, right, on their own. But all of us Urantia beings or physical, semi-physical beings have to find transportation. So, and it says here that you can do it through the atmosphere, right? So we're either in planes or like the Jetsons have our own little transportation or something that gets us through the air to get there. But we can also travel the various water routes. And I find something really interesting in this. It says the water systems are both surface and subterranean. So what would that mean? That means it's not only on the top, but there's water circulating underneath the ground somewhere. And we know that the architectural spheres are basically hollow. So the outside of these spheres must have a certain amount of mass until you get to the hollow point. So the circulating water subterranean must be before it gets to the hollow point, right? Think of it that way.
Mm-hmm.
So it just is very interesting to me. So we can use both material. I like this too. Urantia and material beings can use both. Make use of material one, and semi-material means to negotiate the atmospheric passage. What do you think the semi-material might be? This might be Urantia things that you can transport yourself in. Makes you wonder if some of these UFOs we see popping in and that might be some of those semi-material things. Yeah.
Yeah.
All
Well, they
right.
could be flying carpets.
Yeah. You never know.
Ride on birds, fly.
Yeah. Passenger birds, right? All right. Let's see. Pam, would you take the next one?
Yeah.
Urantia and its associated. Mhm.
Urantia and its associated worlds have a true atmosphere, the usual three gas mixture, which is characteristic of such architectural creations and which embodies the two elements of Urantia atmosphere plus the Urantia gas suitable for the respiration of Urantia creatures. But while this atmosphere is both material and Urantial, there are no storms or hurricanes, neither is there summer nor winter. Oh, it's just fall or spring. This absence of atmospheric disturbances and of seasonal variation makes it possible to embellish all outdoors on these especially created worlds.
Okay, interesting point of this is this, because it's pretty much the same all the time, okay? The atmosphere and everything, most of the buildings on Adentia have no roofs, right? Because they can go both day and night, it won't matter, right? So you don't have to have a
Yeah.
roof. That's pretty amazing, isn't it?
So
And
Yeah.
yeah,
we rest.
we rest.
Yeah.
The other thing is the atmosphere itself. We have both elements of the Earth atmosphere that we breathe now, but there's a third one for our Urantia body that we breathe. So there's a 3 gas mixture instead of 2. The interesting part is this, though, because the other 2 gases are there, they can create and have material beings, or animals, I should say, material animals that can live off the 2 gas mixture, even though the 3rd gas is there. So the animals may breathe the same air as they do here. Makes sense? Don't y'all love all these little tidbits of information? All right, let's go on to the next one. Jane, would you take the next one?
Okay. The Urantia Highlands are magnificent physical features, and their beauty is enhanced by the endless profusion of life which abounds throughout their length and breadth. Excepting a few rather isolated structures, these highlands contain no work of creature hands. Material and morontial ornamentations are limited to the dwelling areas. The lesser elevations are the sites of special residences and are beautifully embellished with both biologic and morontia art.
So you have what, plants and animals and Morantia art in these things, right? In these lower areas. But all the material and Morantia ornamentations is just inside the dwelling places of those who have it, and you get to decide what you want in your dwelling places, you know, what kind of ornamentation you have. All right. Diane, you're back up again. Yep.
Situated on the summit of the 7th Highland Range are the resurrection halls of Adentia, wherein awaken the ascending mortals of the secondary modified order of ascension. These chambers of creature reassembly are under the supervision of the Melchizedeks, the first of the receiving spheres of Adentia, like the planet Melchizedek near Salvington, also has special resurrection halls, wherein the mortals of the modified orders of ascension are reassembled.
So they have these resurrection halls for other types of beings. You need to review.
I thought I did. I'm sorry.
Yeah. There you go. You got it. They have these resurrection halls for other types of beings, and these are called the modified types of beings, and they have them not only on Adentia but on Salvington also. So these other types of beings can be resurrected just like we do on the mansion worlds. They'll be resurrected on these spheres, right? All right.
This is such insight into this.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it is amazing. Everything's been taken care of. Letch, would you take the next one? The Melchizedek's also maintain?
Yeah. It's situated on the summit. Is that the one?
No, the Melchizedek's also
Okay.
maintain
Yeah.
2 special.
The Melchizedeks also maintain 2 special colleges on Edentia. One, the emergency school, is devoted to the study of problems growing out of the Satania rebellion. The other, the bestowal school, is dedicated to the mastery of the new problems arising out of the fact that Michael made his final bestowal on one of the worlds of Norlashadek. This latter college was established almost 40,000 years ago, immediately after the announcement by Michael that Urantia had been selected as the world for his final bestowal.
Isn't that amazing? Right? This was 2,000 worlds before, 2,000 years before his actual bestowal, right? So, and by the way, the Melchizedek is pronounced the way that Letch pronounces it, not the way I have habitually pronounced it for years. You know where I got that from when I was studying the Bible for be a Baptist preacher. Some teacher taught us how to say it that way, and I get stuck in my brain to the point I almost can't stop saying it.
Well, that's my Catholic upbringing. They
There you go.
pronounce it.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
right.
It is Melchizedek.
It
You know,
is.
I
That's
is pronounced as E.
Well,
Melchizedek.
it's the Hebrew. CH is always K in
Yeah,
Hebrew.
yeah. That's
Oh,
right. Yeah,
Yeah.
Melchizedek. Melchizedek, right? Just to straighten everybody out, because I'll call it Melchizedek probably the rest of my life. I put an L in there for some reason. I
Oh,
don't know
some
why.
people say Melchi for the chair.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've heard it
That way, yeah.
pronounced
Yeah,
Melchizedek too.
Melchi. Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure there's a pronunciation directory, but actually it's on our page somewhere, but it teaches you how to pronounce some of these hard words and stuff, but it is the way that Let's pronounce it. It's the CH is supposed to be like a K, Melchizedek. All right. So just so everybody knows. And Morleshadek, it's not Morletiadek. It's Morlesha. The TIA is Shah. Yeah. All right. So anything you see that TIA is pronounced Shah, like a cha almost. All right. So it was 40,000 years ago that a college was established because of the bestowal. 40,000 years ago, not 2,000 years ago, 40,000 years ago, right from now. So that as soon as he announced what planet he was going to, they started to prepare for that. Too bad it went so awry, you know, all these barbarians on our planet. Okay, let's keep going. Pam, would you take the next one?
The sea glass, the receiving area of Edentia, is near the administrative center and is encircled by the headquarters amphitheater. Surrounding this area are the governing centers for the 70 divisions of constellation affairs. One half of Edentia is divided into 70 triangular sections whose boundaries converge at the headquarter buildings of their respective sectors. The remainder of this sphere is one vast natural park, Gardens of God.
And that's where that comes from, the gardens of God, right? That's where the tree of life came from, right? Now think about this, because we're talking about a huge area, 70 triangular sections, and this is where beings dwell. Okay, so you got to put these triangles all together, and they have 70 sections of these things. It's just chock full of residences for people to live. Okay, so there's a lot of people there, right? And the Sea of Glass is on all of these constellation headquarters worlds, and we're going to find out what the purpose of this Sea of Glass is in just a minute. All right. Jane, would you take the next one?
During your periodic visits to Edentia, though the entire planet is open to your inspection, most of your time will be spent in that administrative triangle whose number corresponds to that of your current residential world. You will always be welcome as an observer in the legislative assemblies.
So you can go watch and listen and see what's going on with each one of them, right? All right, Diane.
The Urantia area assigned to ascending mortals resident on Urantia is located in the mid-zone of the 35th triangle adjoining the headquarters of the finaliters, situated in a 36th triangle. The general headquarters of the Urantia occupies an enormous area in the mid-region of the 34 triangle immediately adjoining the residential reservation of the Urantia citizens. From these arrangements, it may be seen that provision is made for the accommodation of at least 70 major divisions of celestial life, and also that each of these 70 triangular areas is correlated with some one of the 70 major spheres of Urantia training.
Okay. Think about this. We're talking about 70 different triangles for the administration, right? And then just for Urantia citizens, we're only in, what was it here? The 35th triangle. Okay. The 36th triangle is for finaliters, and the 34th triangle is for the Urantia citizens. So only 3 of these triangles are used for residences for both the finaliters, ascending mortals, and Urantia citizens. That's a lot of space. Has to be for these triangles, must be huge, humongous, right? All right, let's keep going. The Urantia Sea of Glass. Who's up next? You just read it. Letch, would you take the next one, please? You hear me, Letch?
Okay.
You got it?
The
Okay.
Urantia
Oh, he froze. Letch, you're frozen on our screen. We lost him. didn't we?
Hmm.
sorry, I got cut off.
Yeah, I think I can hear you now. I don't see your picture, but your voice is back. You want to try it
There it is.
again? There you are. You're back. Okay.
Yeah.
You want to try it? You want to try it again?
Yeah, I don't see the screen. That we don't.
Oh, you don't see the screen?
Okay. So the Urantia. Yeah, I see it now.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm okay. The Urantia Sea of Glass is one. You hear me? Yeah.
Yeah. Enormous.
The Urantia Sea of Glass is one enormous circular crystal about 100 miles in circumference and about 30 miles in depth. This magnificent crystal serves as the receiving field for all transport seraphim and other beings arriving from points outside the sphere. Such a sea of glass greatly facilitates the landing of transport seraphim.
Okay, so imagine this, a crystal that's 100 miles across and 30 miles deep. That's pretty big. That's a pretty big diamond, right? And this is used for all the transport seraphim to land and take off. It's also used for the function of reflectivity, which we're going to see in the next paragraph. So it's pretty important to have one of these on each of the constellation headquarters worlds, right? Okay, and they talk about where this appears when we get to the mansion worlds, where they appear when we get to the mansion world papers. All right, so let's go on to the next one. I rearranged my screen. I think Jane is up next one. No, she read right before Letch.
Okay.
Jane, I think you're up again.
Okay. The Urantia area assigned to ascending.
No, it's the crystal field on this order.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
Yeah.
A crystal field on this order is found on almost all architectural worlds, and it serves many purposes aside from its decorative value, being utilized for portraying super-universe reflectivity to assembled groups and as a factor in the energy transformation technique for modifying the currents of space and for adapting other incoming physical energy streams.
Okay, so since there's a crystal like this on this order on almost all the architectural worlds, this is what they would use to transport you in and out through the angels, right? It's also used for reflectivity, okay, so that they can communicate. But another interesting point here is it modifies and sends on all the currents of space and the incoming physical energy streams. So, you know, all these architects of the master universe, or the power directors and all these beings like this is what they would use as this crystal to project this energy stream from planet to planet to planet. Make sense? So it makes a great, Rodney would love this. I'm sure he's going to listen to this, but he'd love this one. Okay, I'll tell you what, we're at 6:51. I think I'm going to stop there for tonight and take up the constellation government next time, so we don't break it up too bad. All right. Yeah, let's take the constellation government next time. So let's have a little prayer and we'll stop for tonight and we'll take it from there next time. Let's stop share. Here we go. All right, sounds good. You want to pray for us tonight, dear?
Exhausted. Dearest Heavenly Father, Mother God, we just thank you for this wonderful. Oh, yeah, there you go. Okay.
Okay, try it.
Father, Mother God, we thank you for this wonderful inspiration that you have shared with us through this book. And we are so just amazed at the worlds that we will be experiencing not too far in the future, actually, as we evolve and follow the path that you have designed for us. And we are so grateful. We're so grateful for this book that allows us to learn and to study and to anticipate what it is going to be like to transition to all the different worlds you have provided for us and given to us to live our lives and to evolve. And we are just so grateful in our hearts and our souls. And we thank you for this opportunity to be together, to study and to learn this in advance. And may we have many opportunities to share with others the glory of your plan for humanity. It is in your name, Jesus Christ, Michael, we give praise and thanks. Amen.
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 Thank you all at home
you.
for joining us. And it was interesting. I wanted to mention, someone asked me a question on Facebook the other day. What is the meaning of all this? The meaning of all this is to prepare us for the next world, the dimension world. Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
So that's why we're doing this. We're getting prepared.
Yeah.
And thank you all at
Thank
home
you.
for joining us. Can we stop the Facebook? Please come see us again. Stop the recording.